There are just over 90 days left in this year, and guess what? You can change everything. I know because a few years ago, I started using the fall to lock in on my decluttering, my fitness, my goals, literally my whole life. And it completely changed how I ended that year and started the new one. Let this be the fall that you stop scrolling, stop stalling, and tap back in. And I promise when you do, you will start to see your whole life shift. Welcome back to my channel, my friends, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Christy, and I make content centered around realizing that no matter where we are in life, no matter our age, we are just on time to live the life of our dreams. Today, we are talking about how to use these next 90 days, which is actually the fall season. It starts on September 22nd and goes through December 21st. We are using basically the rest of the year to do a 90-day fall lock-in. I am so excited for it. This is not a lock-in where you feel trapped. No, that is not what this is. This is one where you are intentionally focusing on yourself, focusing on the things that you still want to accomplish for the rest of the year, and not just throwing in the towel because we are all the way into almost October. Why a fall lock-in? Here's the truth. Most people wait until January or best case end of December to start thinking about change. They tell themselves, oh, I'll get it together next year. And what happens? They limp into the holidays stressed, cluttered, exhausted, not really feeling their best, and then January comes. They start January already feeling behind, and what research goes to show us is that most people do not even make it through January with the goals or desires or resolutions that they have set up for themselves. How you end the year is how you start the next one. If you close out the year scattered, stressed, surrounded by clutter, that's exactly the same energy that you're going to bring into the next one. But if you finish these next 90 days, focused, grounded, and aligned, you enter January already ahead. You are confident, clear, and you have already built momentum that most people don't get until about March. I used to be most people. Now is the time to start creating momentum. Think about it. 3 months really is enough to build a brand new routine, to clear out serious clutter, to strengthen your body, to even completely shift your mindset. It's long enough to see results, but short enough to keep you focused. Fall naturally sets you up for structure. Summer's over. Kids are back in school, work and life routines fall back into place. The year is winding down. If you flow with that rhythm instead of against it, you will see how much easier it is to create new patterns. So now that you know why fall is the perfect season to lock in, let's talk about how you do it. In my Declutter Your Life Challenge, I walk women through what I call my faith, fitness, and freedom framework. This is what I use to reach all of my goals and to keep my life in alignment. I find that every part of my life can fit into one of these three pillars, and aligning my life around these three pillars has really changed everything for me. I'm going to give you a little hint of it here because it is exactly how I want you to approach your own lock-in over these next 90 days. Let's first talk about faith. Faith is your foundation. It is about being grounded in your identity and in who God created you to be. Faith is what drives confidence, peace, and purpose. When you're anchored in that, it takes the pressure off of trying to keep up with the world's timeline. You don't have to run someone else's race because you can freely walk in alignment with who it is that God has created you to be and in the plan and the purpose and the things that He has for you based off of who you are. What are your natural gifts, your natural talents? Where's the journey that life has taken you on? Fitness. Now, this isn't just about moving your body, even though physical exercise is a great and big part of it. Fitness is actually your whole well-being and how you are taking care of every part of yourself. It has to do with your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional care. How are you fueling your body with food, sleep, and movement? How are you protecting your mind from constant noise? How are you restoring your spirit when life feels heavy? And then freedom. Freedom is about decluttering your life, not just your closet or your garage, but your time, your money, your energy, your boundaries, your relationships, your habits. Freedom is the absence of what drains you and the presence of what matters. I like to think of it as curating every single part of your life. And I love that word curated because freedom doesn't just happen, it has to be created. I find that this works so well because when I am addressing each of these areas, even in small ways, every single day, then I am creating a life of alignment. And aligned women are unstoppable. They are not running on fumes or chasing someone else's goals. They are grounded, whole, and free to show up fully for themselves and also for the people around them. Now, I want to give you the keys to actually make this lock-in work. It is one thing to say you are going to lock in, but it is a whole other thing to actually build the rhythms that are going to keep you consistent. First, reduce stress to stay on track. Stress is one of the fastest ways to derail progress, and stress almost always comes from some type of clutter. Maybe it's physical stuff, or mental unfinished tasks, or emotional drains, really all of the life clutter. I want you to identify your top 3 stress points and declutter them first. For you, it might be the laundry piles that annoy you every single time you walk by, or an inbox that's overflowing with all of these unread emails. Maybe it's your calendar because you've been saying yes too much. Stress actually steals energy. When you reduce it, you free up capacity to actually focus on your goals, focus on the things that you want to accomplish instead of constantly playing this game of catch up. Focus on habits, not just goals. Sometimes we have these goals where we don't fully have control over the outcome, but habits are 100%, for the most part, within our control. Habits shrink them down into daily and weekly actions that you can do. The key to this is to fall in love with the habits that lead to the goal. When you master the habits, the results actually just take care of themselves. Instead of just saying something like, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds by X date, ask, what are the habits that are going to get me there? Maybe it is walking 15 minutes a day, or swapping soda for water, or going to bed earlier. Instead of, I need to pay off $5,000, ask, what habits are going to move the needle? Maybe for you, that looks like tracking every expense, or setting up auto pay for your bills, or doing a weekly money check-in. If you need to reduce it down even further, this is where micro habits come in. Stop thinking overhaul. We're not doing that. Think small, stackable wins that ideally can be anchored in something that you're already doing. Decluttering one space each night while you're watching your favorite show. Writing your gratitude before bed as you set your alarm. Drinking one extra glass of water while you're cooking. These little things don't feel like a lot in the moment, but when you repeat them consistently, they create this massive change over time. And then by stacking them, you don't feel like you have to find time to make this habit be part of your routine. Habits rewire your brain. Every small win builds this evidence that you're the kind of person who follows through. You're the kind of person who shows up for yourself. Speaking of being that type of person, if you've been around here for a minute, you know that I anchor how I do things in a privileged mindset. It's a mindset that says, I believe the best life is for me. I can have access to it, and how I show up for myself is a reflection of that belief. With that in mind, privileged women don't obsess over the timeline. They live like the version of themselves that they're becoming now, showing up every day and romanticizing doing the habits. Choose progress, not perfection. Here is where so many of us get stuck. We want the perfect plan before we begin. The matching bins, the right amount of energy, the perfect morning routine, uninterrupted quiet time. And while we're waiting for perfect conditions, the clutter grows, the stress multiplies, and we feel further behind. Here's your lock-in tip. Start messy. Clean out one drawer without waiting for the bins. Try one workout, even if you don't have the perfect shoes or the perfect routine. Pray for 5 minutes in the car instead of waiting until you have an hour of silence at home. Action in any form is better than waiting until things are perfect. When I was working on my PhD, that was something that my advisor would always tell me, and everybody else who had done a PhD, a good dissertation is a done dissertation. And that's what I'm telling you. Good progress is done progress, made progress, happened progress. However we take that. Progress actually gives us that clarity and confidence, whereas perfection, it only creates this delay and disappointment. It really is just fear in disguise. It's our brains telling us that if I wait until it's perfect, then I eliminate the possibility of failure. But the truth is, waiting and not doing it guarantees failure because nothing ever changes. Set boundaries and protect them. You cannot lock in if you are saying yes to everything. A lock-in means that you recognize your energy and your focus are precious. If you don't protect them, someone or something else will always have a plan for them. So I need you to decide in advance what it is that you're going to say no to. Maybe it is late night scrolling that keeps you up and keeps you too tired to actually show up in the morning. Maybe it's saying yes to one extra volunteer thing that leaves you feeling resentful. Maybe it's letting yourself get dragged into toxic conversations that drain your energy. Boundaries are what turn intention into reality. You can have the perfect plan, the right goals, and even great habits all lined up, but if you don't protect your time and your energy and your attention, all of that is going to get hijacked. Boundaries are going to be that guardrail that keep you from sliding into chaos. Say, for example, you are in a busy season. I need you to set a hard stop for work at a certain time so that you have space and that you have time to do the things that you say are important. If you're working on decluttering, protect one evening each week where you don't make other plans because that is your reset time. If someone asks for your energy in ways that don't align with your lock in goals, I need you to practice saying, not right now, I am focused on something important. And please hear this, saying no is not selfish, it is not being mean. It is stewardship. When you live like your energy is worth protecting, you stop settling for scraps of time and then start creating a life that feels full and meaningful. Celebrate small wins. This is the one that most people skip. We think that we will only feel good once we hit the big goal. The 20 pounds lost, the debt completely paid, the whole house decluttered. But your brain doesn't work like that. It needs rewards along the way so that it stays excited about what it is that you're doing. Why does this work? We do things on a consistent basis, even things that are bad for us, things that we know we shouldn't be doing because they make us feel good. Celebration is going to rewire your brain to keep going. It connects discipline and doing the things that are actually good for you to joy instead of to punishment. When you acknowledge your progress and you celebrate your wins, even the tiny steps that are made forward, your brain then gets this tiny hit of dopamine. It is that positive reinforcement that makes you more likely to repeat that habit. And naturally, when the process feels good, you keep showing up. I promise you, this is how I showed up for YouTube every single week when I was getting 0 subscribers. Well, I was maybe getting like 1 a week. It was such slow growth. But I celebrated the fact that I have completed a video, I have uploaded, and that was so rewarding to me to just see that I did it and I produced something, I put it out in the world. That was my piece of celebration. You have to figure out what that looks like for you when it comes to what your goals are, what your aspirations and desires are. Now, I'm going to be honest, even though I live this and I teach this, I have had seasons, I still have seasons where I completely lose steam. Not too long ago, I didn't have desire to do like anything. I didn't want to declutter. I didn't want to work out. I didn't want to drink water. I did not want to do any of the things that I knew that I needed to do. And for me, that was a signal that it was really time for me to get my head in the game. I asked myself, okay, looking at my faith, fitness, and freedom framework, because I say I do this for every part of my life, where am I feeling most out of alignment? And I recognized for me that it was in my fitness area. I was feeling sluggish, I was feeling tired, a little bit overwhelmed, and it was affecting everything. And so I made myself a little lock-in plan. Nothing huge, but things that make me feel my best. And the funny thing about it was that I was not feeling it even when I wrote it down, even when I knew that I needed to do it. I still wasn't feeling it. But as soon as I wrote it down and as soon as I completed one of those things, the desire, the excitement about it started to flow. I've said it before that desire and the way that we think about motivation, that comes after we do some action. If we're waiting on the feelings and the excitement and the jitters and the butterflies in our tummy to get moving before we act, you're gonna be disappointed every single time. Anyway, once I moved, I wanted to keep going, and it feels so good to be like, yeah, I'm on it. I am on track. I am doing the things that I want to be doing, and I see myself finishing this year strong. That is the power of locking in. Now it's your turn. Here's how you are going to build your 90-day fall lock-in plan in 5 easy steps. First, identify where you are feeling most out of alignment in either your faith, fitness, or freedom. This is where you are going to focus most of your energy for your lock-in. 2, write down your actions. Your plan is going to be your contract with yourself. So you're going to write down up to 5 things, 5 actions that you want to do in your most misaligned area. I don't like to do too many because it's a lot to keep track of, but enough to say, yes, I'm actually focusing in on this particular area. Then I want you to write down 1 to 2 things that you are either going to keep doing or that you're going to add to those other 2 areas so that you make sure you keep those strong. So for example, if you have identified that your fitness is most out of alignment, that's where you're going to put about 5-ish habits that you are really focusing on. And then in your faith and your freedom, 1 to 2 things that you're going to either start or keep doing there. 3, set up your environment for success. If it's something to do with decluttering, then set up a donation station. If it's something to do with working out, then lay out all of your workout clothes and your workout shoes. If it's something to do with your faith, make sure that you set out your Bible or your journal by your bed. Number 4, track your progress. You don't need some fancy anything, even just a sticky note where you are checking off your progress is going to be just fine. I actually have set up my habits in my notes app on my iPhone, and I just check them off each day, and it is so satisfying when I realize that I have done all of the things that I was supposed to do. Commit to the full 90 days. Don't restart. There is nothing more frustrating or discouraging than feeling like, ugh, I have to start all over again. That is where you want to throw in the towel. So we're not doing that. If you miss a day, keep it moving. If you fall off, recognize what happened, identify that thing, and adjust it, keep moving. And then one more bonus one, because I said 5, but I actually have a bonus 6 one. Every single week, I want you to do something to acknowledge and celebrate your wins. Maybe that win is one drawer cleared or one walk around the block. Maybe it is one night you went to bed on time, or you said no to a thing that you would normally say yes to. And you can celebrate it in a type of way. Maybe for you, that is writing it down in your journal, or treating yourself to your favorite coffee shop, or giving yourself a high five in the mirror. Whatever it is, just make sure that you recognize and celebrate it so that you want to keep going, so that you mentally equate doing this habit and completing this habit with something that feels rewarding. That's what a 90-day fall lock-in looks like. It's not just ending this year strong, but building momentum for next year. Now I want to hear from you. What is one thing that you are locking in on this fall? Drop it in the comments and let's hold each other accountable. And if you want extra support, check out my email list link below, because I send out weekly encouragement. Also, if you sign up for my waitlist for the Declutter Your Life Happy Hour, you will be the first to hear when I open up the next round. If you choose to lock in, these next 90 days can literally change your life. Alrighty, my friends, I love you so much. If you enjoyed this video, make sure that you share it with your friends. Also, if you're not subscribed, what are you doing? I'm gonna need you to jump on that. I love you so much. Let's get to locking in, and I will see you in my next one. Mwah. Bye for now.